The history of agrarian reform in the Philippines reflects the country's journey from its pre-colonial past to the present. It is deeply intertwined with issues of land ownership, tenancy, and inequality. From the communal land management systems to the exploitative encomienda system, the evolution of land rights and agricultural practices has been central to the country's development. Understanding this historical context is crucial in comprehending the challenges and controversies that have shaped the Philippines' ongoing efforts to achieve meaningful and equitable land reform.
During the pre-Spanish period, the Philippines followed the community-based land ownership system. Private land ownership was not widespread, with land politically belonging to the community or barangay under the leadership of a dato or tiyo. Community member could utilize the land for farming and living. There was no concept of private land ownership, and the land was used for the benefits of the entire community. This communal arrangement encouraged a method of agriculture and resource administration.
During the Spanish period, the encomienda system was introduced, which significantly affected the natives. The encomienda system was a feudal system where the Spanish colonizers granted land and the right to collect tribute from the native population to Spanish settlers known as encomenderos. The encomenderos were responsible for the welfare and Christianization of the natives, but in practice, they often exploited the natives, forcing them to work on the land and facing communities. This system disrupted the traditional communal land ownership and led to the concentration of land and hands of the encomenderos, depriving the natives of their rights and autonomy.
Emilio Aguinaldo's plan, which was never realized, was to redistribute the lands of Catholic Church and the Spanish brothers to the landless peasants after the Philippines Revolution. However, this plan was never implemented, and the estate eventually remained in the hands of the new Filipino elite, who had replaced the Spanish landholders. The failure to implement the Aguinaldo's plan contributed to the continued inequality and unequal distribution of land in the Philippines, which became a major source of social, political, and unrest in the country.
The history of agrarian reform in the Philippines is complex and contentious, with roots dating back to the pre-Spanish and Spanish colonial periods. Land ownership, tenancy, and inequality have persisted through history and remain significant challenges today. The colonial history of the Philippines has deeply influenced its ongoing land ownership issues. Attempts at the reform have faced resistance from the elite who benefited from the colonial system. Overcoming these challenges requires political will and comprehensive reform efforts to address the inequities inherited from the colonial past. These early laws demonstrate the government's attempt to tackle question of land distribution, property rights, and the landowner-tenant dynamic. Let's discuss the details and impacts of this legislation.
The Philippine Bill of 1902 set a limitation on the discharge of private individuals and corporations. This law provides regulations of disposal of private land, wherein private individual can only acquire up to 60 hectares of land, while corporation land holding can avail a land up to 1,000 to 24 hectares. This limitation set by the Philippine Bill of 1902 for acquiring land.
The significant provision of Land Registration Act of 1902 is providing a comprehensive registration of land titles under the Tory system. It have acquired all land title to be registered with the government and provided for the issuance of certificates of title that were considered conclusive evidence of ownership. This was an important effort as it helped formalize a secure land ownership. Due to this, land ownership was often admitted and disputed. The Tory system provided a more transparent and reliable system of land administration, which was crucial for promoting economic development and investment in the country.
Significance of Tenancy Act of 1933.
Over the early 20th century, the Philippine government enacted the legislation to tackle the complex challenges of land ownership in the country. First is the 1902 Philippine Bill limited private or corporate land acquisition and prohibited non-Filipinos from owning land, aiming to prevent concentration and promote more equitable distribution. Second is the 1902 Land Registration Act formalized a total titling system to help secure property rights and divide greater secondly and lastly, The 1936 Tenancy Act regulated contracts, rents, and disputes between landowners and tenants, farmers attempting to rebalance this historically unequal relationship. These early legislative efforts demonstrate the government's commitment to grapple with land ownership issues, though their real world impacts hardly. John Newford has really equal talent lead up to the base, with ongoing policies, efforts to address inequities and distribution at beyond.
Contribution of Philippine presidents. The agrarian reform efforts in the Philippines have been shaped by the policies and initiatives of various presidents over the decades. These presidents have each left their mark on the ongoing struggle to address issues of land ownership, tenant-to-landlord relations, and equitable access to agricultural resources.
In the history of the Philippines, several presidents have played vital roles in changing how land ownership works, especially in farming areas. President Joaquin Quezon, Ramon Magsaysay, Diosdado Macapagal, and Corazon C. Aquino has major contributions in terms of agrarian reform system in the Philippines. During the presidency of Manuel L. Quezon, from 1935 to 1944, he introduced the Homestead Act and the Public Land Act to provide landless Filipinos with access to public lands and promoted the establishment of agricultural colonies and settlements to address the issue of landlessness. President Ramon Magsaysay, serving from 1953 to 1957, has three major contributions to the agrarian reform. First, he implemented a comprehensive land reform program to redistribute large private landholdings to landless farmers and peasants. Second, he established the Land Tenure Administration to manage the land reform program. And lastly, he enacted the Tenant Emancipation Act to grant land ownership rights to tenant farmers. Diosdado Macapagal, in his presidency from 1961 to 1965, he initiated the Land Reform Program, or LRP, to redistribute agricultural lands to small farmers and established the Land Authority to oversee the implementation of the LRP. President Corazon C. Aquino from 1986 to 1992 has five major contributions in terms of the agrarian reform system in the Philippines. First, she enacted a comprehensive agrarian reform law to institute a comprehensive agrarian reform program. Second, she established the Agrarian Reform Fund to finance the implementation of the agrarian reform program. Third, she streamlined and expanded the Department of Agrarian Reform to strengthen the institutional capacity for implementing the reforms. Fourth, she accelerated the acquisition and distribution of agricultural lands to farmer beneficiaries. And lastly, she empowered farmers' beneficiaries by granting them all ownership rights.
Among the presidents mentioned, Corazon C. Aquino's contribution to agrarian reform can be considered the most significant. The Comprehensive Agrarian Reform Program, or CARP, initiated during her administration, was a landmark policy that sought to address the long-standing issues of land ownership and tenant-to-landlord relations in the Philippines.
At present, the agrarian reform system in the Philippines faces some issues like slow implementations, lack of financial support and assistance, political implications, and violation of farmers' rights. There are possible solutions that could help, like making sure that all the land is shared out, making sure farmers feel safe with their land and giving them more help, making sure that the rules are followed, and getting everyone involved to talk and work together. In order to fix all these problems, it will need unions and stronger organizations. In addition, it is also important to promote education and training to farmers to help them develop their lands and livelihoods. These solutions are important to give justice and the opportunity to them to have a good and productive life in their lives.